All right, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow you do have a test, 25 questions in 29 minutes. Please be ready to go. Your focus, your map, and your primary are due. Your primary is already on there. So I am telling you right now, I'm not going to finish content. Okay, I'm going to work really hard. We're going to move pretty quick, but I don't think I'm going to finish content. I've already posted my PowerPoint. It is already up there for you. It is on its own little page, easy to find. So I'm going to work hard. You're going to work hard, and we're going to go. Okay? All right, here we go. Who can raise their hand and tell me where we left off? Andrew.
Guatemala Fruit Company.
Perfect. So with Guatemalan Fruit Company, we're going to start seeing this massive trend. That is going to be the United States is going to start using covert powers and influence in order to take over territory, take over influence in a country. Okay? Post World War II, especially in the 50s and 60s, we're going to start really going against other countries. All right, here we go. So our next country is Vietnam. So this is land reform. Keep that in mind. In Vietnam, okay, we're going to see that the communists in the north are going to take land from the wealthy and give it to the poor. It is very popular in the north. Okay, Vietnam, they're going to start taking land from the wealthy and giving it to the poor in a land redistribution. It is going to be very popular. It's also pretty gory. Okay, now in the south, you need to distinguish. The south is more capitalistic at this point, and still it will be controlled by the French, but we'll get to that in a second. You need to know that they are very slowly taking over land. Okay, there's slow land redistribution, and it's not popular. Okay, Ethiopia is our next country of land redistribution. So in Ethiopia, ladies and gentlemen, okay, you need to put a star. It is the only country that was not imperialized. They were the only country to defeat a European country. Who did they defeat? Who can raise their hand and tell me what country they defeated? Izzy? Italy. And that's going to embarrass Italy. So in the 1930s, what Italian leader is going to go back to Ethiopia? Mussolini, and he's going to do a mass killing. And the only time Ethiopia is conquered by Europeans is during this small window of 1936 to 1941. Okay, now with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to know that, and this is what the star is for, Ethiopia was the most stable for decolonization. So if you were going to pick a country that was going to be the most successful, what country would it have been? It would have been Ethiopia, because they were never conquered. They've been under their own control, except for a period of like 6 years. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, they are going to have some big issues. They are going to have a leader called Haile Selassie, Halle, and he does like Western ideology. Okay, now, is this normal or abnormal? Pro-Western at this point. It's abnormal. We're starting to see a major change in the winds. Everyone was pro-Western, Age of Enlightenment. Now the winds are turning against. Well, he is pro-Western. You need to acknowledge that. The people of Ethiopia suspect him of being an imperialist. And they overthrow him. Okay, so they overthrow him and they replace him with Merom. Mengistu Haile Merom. And Merom will turn Ethiopia socialist off of this wave of fear and an authoritarian government. He uses his opportunity to turn socialist and creates an authoritarian government, which will create a failed state. He will literally be run out of his country in 1991. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ethiopia was the one poised for the most success. And how did it go? Not well. So imagine these countries that have been deprived of natural resources and oppression. How do you think they're going to do in the post-decolonization world? Not well. Okay. India land reform is your next one. India is going to have somewhat successful land reform after independence in 1947. India is going to have somewhat successful land reform, which means land is given to the poor in what we called cooperative farming. Okay, cooperative farming, not collectivization. Collectivization is when the state controls everything and the state tells you exactly what to farm and how to farm it. And cooperative government and cooperative farming, the farmers can farm any way they want, but the state agency is like, hey, I'm here if you need help. Let me know. I'm here to help. Let me help. And that's how cooperative farming works. It's with private farmers and the state. They can work together if they choose, or they can work independently. And it's somewhat successful. You need to put a star. This will lay the foundation for the economic gains of India in the 1970s. What, the cooperative farming part?
No, just like that last.
Oh, it's going to lay the economic foundation for their gains in the 1970s. Because India is going to industrialize in the 1970s. And how they get there is they stabilize the farming situation. And so that's the first reason why they start doing is cooperative farming. So it's the only real successful farming thing that we've seen. Okay, here we go. Decolonization after 1900 is your next major one. And we're going for India. So we're going back to India. We can keep it. We're on India right now, aren't we? Yeah. Okay. Nothing that I'm about to say is new. I'm reminding you, and I'll start telling you when I'm talking new stuff. Fair? India wanted its independence. They're going to earn it in 1947. They had the original one-state plan pushed by Gandhi. Gandhi is going to gain the independence but fail in the one-state system. It is going to be replaced with the two-state system, the creation of the state of Pakistan and the creation of the state of India. Yes? That is all old information. If you haven't memorized that yet, I'll punch myself in the face. Okay, so here we go. This isn't new information either, so you may not need to write it down. You need to be aware that Gandhi's going to use civil disobedience. You need to know that the Muslim League, which is new, the Muslim League is going to have a major role. You need to write this down. The Muslim League is going to have a major role in the Indian National Congress in earning independence for India. You also should be aware the Indian National Congress is super effective. Like, it gets a lot done. Okay. Post-World War II. Tons of protests are throughout Africa, India, including the most successful one of the Royal Indian Navy, which will end British occupation. Okay, now keep in mind, what is the most important thing about civil disobedience? What is civil disobedience? Come on, we got tons of stuff to do and I've already taught you this stuff. Henry.
Where you break unjust law.
Okay, doing what?
Like just,
Okay, what's the major part? What do you have to be doing and make civil disobedience work? Sophia? Okay, that's part of the...
Like peacefully?
Yeah, it's peaceful. It has to be peaceful. It has to be photographed. It has to be recorded. It has to be used in media in order to shame the home country who's doing the oppression. Ladies and gentlemen, in the 1960s, Martin Luther King Jr. is going to implement civil disobedience here in the United States. And how awful and uncomfortable are those photos? Yeah, it makes you physically uncomfortable watching teenagers get hosed with a fire hose or getting beat to a bloody pulp by a police officer. Those images make us uncomfortable and make us call for change. Freedom Bus Rides got white people to care enough about black people watching the buses burn on television. That's how civil rights movement was successful here in the United States. Okay, so when we're talking about these movements, it has to be public. All right, you need to know that India and Pakistan are going to be formed in 1947, but you should know that, so it shouldn't be bad. Okay, this is what you need to start for. This is what I meant. You need to put a star. You need to understand that Britain realizes they have to give them up. And negotiates independence. So does that mean England's just giving them up? Nope, they're getting things in return. And they do pretty well. Don't get me wrong. England always takes care of England. Okay, next one is Ghana. Okay, if you've ever watched, anyone here ever watched The Crown on Netflix? So good, right? Okay, you know how she goes to Africa and the black African king touches her and they dance and that's a huge scandal? It's this. Okay, so Ghana wants its independence. You need to note this. Okay. It is going to have Kwame Nkrumah is going to be the first black president in the history of Africa. Okay? You need to know that Ghana is going to negotiate its independence from England. So are they fighting with the Queen? Hello? Is there a war? No. This is the ideal way to end colonization. Ghana is the standard. Okay? Now, it is really important for you to know England and Ghana are still going to be good friends to this day. They're the first country, you don't need to write this part down because we're going to learn about it next week. They're the first country to join the Commonwealth. British Commonwealth, after all, they lose all their colonies, they create a Commonwealth to still facilitate trade to benefit everyone. And Ghana is the first country to do so because they're the first ones to gain their independence. Okay. Ghana's independence will lay a blueprint of how to do it. And that's why Ghana is so important. They are going to rewrite their own history to remove imperialism-ish. Okay, so they're going to rewrite the narrative. They're not ignoring imperialism, they're just kind of skipping it and focusing on the previous heritage, the previous cultures prior to imperialism. Like you don't need to write this down, but they're going to create a rich narrative with a new flag, a new currency. They're going to reinvent themselves post-imperialism to show their independence. Okay? Now, you do need to know they're going to have a one-party system. And they are pro-Pan-Africanism, or unification of African countries. Okay. Unfortunately, he is going to be overthrown, okay, by a military coup. It's a military coup, so it's just a small group of people who have the ability to do it. So, you do need to know that Ghana is going to be a hot mess for a while. Okay.
I don't have an answer for that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Is there something else I can help with?
Stop talking to me. Okay. Algeria. So, Ghana is the nice, easy transition out. They have their own problems. Algeria is the hot mess of it all. All right, Algeria, they're leaving the French. There's a couple things you need to know about Algeria for this to make sense. Algeria has 1 million Frenchies in it. Like, I'm talking like white, born and bred French people living in Algeria. There's 1 million of them. Second thing, Algeria is the largest purchaser of French goods. So their entire economy depends on, Algeria. The French economy is completely based on Algeria. Okay, you need to know they don't want to give it up. Okay, so we're going to start having the Algerian Civil War. And it is going to be led by the National Liberation Front. The FLN, the National Liberation Front. They're French, so that's why it's different. Okay, with that being said, they're going to use guerrilla warfare. And James, what is guerrilla warfare?
It's like when you have less people, it's about like where you put them and stuff rather than.
Sort of. What do you got, Hayden?
Doesn't it use a lot of like tanks and stuff?
No. There's no tanks in guerrilla warfare. What do you got, Catherine?
Isn't that like the little skirmishes when they run away?
Yeah, it's created by the Americans because we couldn't beat the British on the field, so we shot them on their way to the field. Okay, we created this. It's called guerrilla warfare. It's what we fight terrorists today. Terrorists hide in buildings and stuff and shoot at us while we're walking by. Yes, that's how most of our Marines get killed, is by hidden snipers or people hiding and shooting, or hiding in crowds and stuff like that and shooting our men and women in service. That's what they're doing, is guerrilla warfare. Why? Because they can't beat the French outright, so they're fighting in the guerrilla style. This will lay the foundation for what will be future terrorist groups doing. Okay, you need to know that the death count on both sides is incredibly high. Like, it's insane. Hundreds of thousands of people are dying, Algerians and French. So lots of people are dying. Okay, you need to know, at home in France, people are 50-50, which means some of them like the war, some of them want to keep Algeria, some want to get rid of it. Okay, so President de Gaulle, he's a war hero from World War II. When you fly into Paris, you land at de Gaulle Airport. He's a national hero. He's currently the president of France. You need to write this down. President de Gaulle asked the people directly, not the assembly, to keep fighting or not. And the people vote no. So it is the people of France who give the Algerian people independence. It is not the National Assembly. It is not the politicians. It is a vote given to the people, and that's how Algeria gets its independence. Now, okay, please listen. This is going to be a trend that's going to be occurring for the rest of our AP World life. When there's a very famous quote, "We are here because you were there." So, we are here because you were there. Algerians, there are going to be a lot of people who are very loyal to France and Algeria. So when Algeria becomes independent, they run to France because they'll be killed if they're left in Algeria. Same thing happens in Afghanistan a couple months ago, or about a year ago. Okay? Some people worked with the United States government, so when we closed up shop, those people were going to be executed by the Taliban. So we tried saving some of them. Yes, remember those pictures of the Afghanis trying to get on the last flights out? Because if they stayed behind, they were going to be killed because they were pro-America. Same thing's happening in Algeria. So because of this, pro-France Algerians are moving to France. Thousands of them. This is going to cause a lot of problems, okay? Because at this point in 1954, France is pretty white. All of a sudden, they're importing about 500,000 Algerians who are black. Okay? This is going to cause, you need to write this down, a rise in racism, housing issues, a strain on tax dollars, because when you have refugees, who pay for the refugees? The government. Okay? And it's going to cause cultural issues. These Algerians, yes, they've been French citizens for about 70 years, but they haven't been living in France. These are going to cause huge problems. With all of the decolonization, this is going to continue happening. So what is important to understand about Algeria? Before the Algerian War ends, France is really white. After the Algerian War, guess what? It's way more diverse in France. And how do people adjust to things like this? Not well. And the French aren't. French are like super, super racist. Okay? Because they've been really, really white for a really long time. So this is going to cause huge problems in France. Okay? Now, you do need to know that the Algerian state is going to fail and will be replaced with an authoritarian dictator. Because of military coups. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are a ruler in France, who's your biggest threat? I mean, if you're a ruler in Africa, what is your biggest threat? Military coups. There you go. All right. So let's go to Vietnam. Vietnam is also controlled by the French. Now the French are going to control South Vietnam. You need to know that. North is now controlled by the communists, but the French still control the South. Okay? Now, what is going to happen in the North? We have a guy named Ho Chi Minh. You need to know his name. He's kind of a big deal. You should have already heard that name well before my class, yeah? Okay. Ho Chi Minh is going to control the North. Okay? The French control the South. Okay? They are going to sign a peace treaty. Ho Chi Minh and the French, saying as long as you stay to the north, we'll stay to the south and you can do you. Well, Ho Chi Minh starts helping the Viet Cong. Where are you? Viet Cong is exactly how you think it's spelled. Viet Cong. In the south. The Viet Cong are in the south. So, there's people in the south who want to be communists, and Ho Chi Minh starts sending supplies and stuff. This is going to cause a war. The French are now fighting with Ho Chi Minh. The United States joined the war. Viet Cong? Is that what you're looking for, Logan? Viet Cong is going to cause the war to break out. So it's now Ho Chi Minh versus France. Well, because Ho Chi Minh is now in direct conflict in the South, this triggers the Truman Doctrine, and who shows up? The United States show up. So the United States comes to France's aid in the South. We will kill 58,000 Americans in Vietnam. Is that a small number or a big number? That's a pretty damn big number, guys. That's a huge number. Okay, we'll kill 58,000 Americans in Vietnam. And we're going to leave the war because we can't win it. Okay, and we'll leave the war under Nixon. Nixon is the president who pulls us out of Vietnam. In 1975. We exit the war in 1975. Okay, with that being said, that whole Southeast Asia is now completely destable, which means there's all governments are in flux, and Cambodia and Laos are now communist. So how did it go? Those American boys' lives, how did we do? Not so great. Because keep in mind, the whole reason we were there is to stop the spread of communism and how to go. Not great. Okay, now let's do some boards for a minute. Gattaky needs a break, don't you, Gattaky? Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the first country in Africa to gain its independence? And it is an ideal transition. There is no warfare. Not great for them long term, but it's gonna have no longfare. What do you got, Sophia? Ghana. On your whiteboard, what African nation is going to have its independence throughout most of imperialism? However, because of bad land reforms, it's going to fall behind and get overthrown by a coup. What do we got, Hunter? On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the absolute worst way to get your independence? It is going to cause a massive war that's going to have huge casualty counts, and it is going to fall to a military coup, and frankly, it is just a hot damn mess. Even today in 2022, this is not where you want to go visit. Actually, as an American, you can't really go. Parker. Algeria. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what country has the only somewhat successful land reform in the post-World War II? It is going to be what, Virginia? India. India is going to implement a what type of land reform? It is not collective, it is good. Hayden. Cooperative. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what year does the creation of India and Pakistan come? If you don't know this, I'm just going to die. What do we got? Taylor? 1947. Okay. Egypt is where we're going now. Did we enjoy our little bang break? Sorry. I'm trying to get through as much as I possibly can. Is that not appreciated either? Why do I bother? Huh? Go to honors to do it every day, all day. Here we go. Egypt. Okay, now, Egypt gets its independence after the Ottoman Empire collapses. However, England has power over parts of it. What do you think? What part? Suez, ladies and gentlemen. The Suez Canal is controlled by the British. Why? What is the most valuable piece of land in the world? Suez Canal. Okay, controls worldwide trade. Okay, so what we're going to see is that the British still have some control. The Egyptians are independent. Now, Egypt is going to form the Arab League, which will grow to 22 nations. In parentheses, I would write Pan-Arabism. It is this huge movement of unifying the Arab countries together. Okay, we're also going to see Pan-Africanism, yes? It's the same type of thing that we're seeing, but with the Arab countries. Okay, you need to know the name Gamal Abdel Nasser. Nasser is super controversial. If you're an Arab, you love him. If you're a Muslim, you love him. If you're in the West, you hate him. Okay, so he's super controversial. Okay, he's Egyptian. You need to know that. He is going to establish the Republic of Egypt. Okay, now, Nasser is the guy behind Pan-Arabism. He's the dude. He's the guy unifying all of the Middle East. Okay? He is also going to blend a little bit of Islam and socialism. Holy moly. Oh my God. Isn't this exciting? Because keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, what has now fallen out of favor? The West. So now they're looking towards the opposite of the West, which would be socialism. So he is blending socialism and Islam in a new way, which is really kind of cool. Okay. He is going to create a land reform. It is successful. Okay? He is going to nationalize the banks and stabilize the economy. That's hella impressive. Now this is where it gets super, super, super controversial. Now, the Suez Canal is located in Egypt, but it's controlled by the... And guess who makes all the money off of it? Yeah, of course. Okay, now, Nasser... Oh, oops. Okay, so we're going to have the Suez Crisis. That's what you need to call it. It's a huge deal. Okay, now, you need to know that the Suez Canal was started by the French, finished by the English. Okay, now, with that being said, what we're going to see is that the Egypt, let me try this again, I just want to make it as contrite as possible. Now, you do need to know that the United States and the Soviets are going to agree that it should be Egypt in control. Okay, so what is going to happen is that Nasser, and you need to underline Nasser, you need to know it was him, is going to capture the Suez Canal. In the middle of the night, he sneaks out and does it. Do you remember that episode? Yeah, it's wild.
How does he capture a whole canal?
When you could just start in the middle of the night, you sneak over a bunch of fences and you just start killing everyone you see, and then all of a sudden there's no British people and it's only Egyptian military, and you say, it's mine now. That's how you do it.
Unless I'm making like clean.
Okay, now what you do need to know that this is going to trigger worldwide concerns. Okay, so much so that the U.S., the Soviets, and the United Nations get involved. It is the first national crisis Queen Elizabeth II has to deal with. This is like year 2 of her queenship. Okay, now, what gets voted is that the Suez Canal, after a lot of work, the Suez Canal now belongs to Egypt. You need to know this because it has a huge impact even till today. I mean, for God's sake, when it got stuck, this is a huge deal. However, it is protected by the UN to ensure equal access of all nations because it controls the worldwide economy. Now, the funny thing is, what country has more UN soldiers than any other country? U.S. So it's really controlled mostly by U.S. soldiers, actually. Fun fact. But they wear the cute little blue outfits, so that's nice. Logan, what do you got?
Never mind.
Okay. All right.
How many slides do you have left?
A lot. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple things I do want to talk about. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to say this, and it's going to come out very contrite, and I don't mean it. Pretty much every government that is going to gain their independence in Africa is going to have a military coup within 5 years, and it's going to fall into an authoritarian government in Africa because they don't have the stabilization of a consistent force in Africa. So when we talk about a lot of this, we're going to start seeing a huge amount of problems. Now, when we talk about Nigeria, and you need to write this down, Nigeria is going to be pulled into a religious extremist group is going to take over. They're also going to discover oil in Nigeria. So what country is going to be the target of a lot of this inconsistency is going to be Nigeria. Okay? So today It's a little bit better, but it's going to have a lot of issues. This is where you have extremist terrorist groups are all throughout Nigeria, and they're the ones making money off the oil. Okay. Let's go to Canada. Okay, Canada is going to want its independence. So it's called the Quiet Revolution, which is just like the most Canadian thing ever. They're going to ask France for independence, and the other part is going to ask England for their independence, and both of the countries are just going to give it. They're like, oh my God, you want your independence? Okay. And they're going to get it. Now, they're going to ask, and they're going to create a separate state. And in Quebec, they're going to ask for independence, and they're going to give it as well. How Canadian is that? What do you got?
So does all of Canada get independence or just Quebec?
Quebec is going to get it first, and then the rest is going to get it. But today, England still has a pretty big role in Canada, but they're technically an independent nation. Does that make sense? Because they have two, because even Quebec and the rest of Canada are still one country. They just have origin differences, and that's the big component. Okay. Newly independent states. Okay, Israel is where we're going to start. We already know most of this, so don't get overwhelmed. We know the Zionist movement, which was created by the Balfour Document, right? Yes, the idea that Jews should be in their homeland. All of those things are going to happen. It is going to be the UN that creates it. Okay, and that is the biggest deal. What you need to know about Israel is created in 1947, and as soon as it's created, it goes into war. The moment it's created is the moment everyone's fighting over it. Okay, now, what is going to happen is with the creation of the State of Israel, it's going to create Palestinian refugees. Okay, this war, these refugees are going to wreak havoc, because when you have refugees in your country, it costs a lot of money, and that falls on the government to pay for it, which is draining tax dollars and causes lots of other problems. Okay, now what we're going to see is we're going to have the Camp David Accords with Jimmy Carter. Okay, now, Jimmy Carter is going to negotiate a peace treaty between Israel and the Palestinians and other Arabs. Okay, however, it will be a stabilizing force. It is pretty successful. Is it perfect? No, but it is pretty successful. Now, there are going to be pop-ups of violence, of course. We have it all the time. Okay? Rockets are going back and forth between these two different locations. However, one of the biggest things is going to be a lot of tension with the United States because of our involvement in Israel. Okay? Okay, all right. Next is Cambodia. Okay, the Khmer Rouge is going to overthrow the government. Okay, they are going to model it after the Chinese. And they are going to kill about 2 million people. Okay, Vietnam is going to invade and take over, and will stay until 1991. 1989, I'm sorry. 1991, we have free and clear elections. 1989. So, how's it looking, decolonized world? Good or chaotic? Chaotic. Now, am I saying imperialism is a good thing? No, but here we go. Okay, a couple good things. You ready? We ready for some good things? Women are gaining power in Asia. Okay. Sri Lanka is going to have the first female prime minister anywhere in the world. Isn't that just shocking? Okay. Now, what is going to happen is she's going to rise into power. Okay. And then her daughter is going to be voted in as president, which is pretty cool. Okay. Now, there's a little bit of corruption there, but we'll just fly through that. Pakistan is going to have a majority Muslim PM, prime minister, also female. Fun fact, how are we doing here in the United States? Yeah, we're not doing so well in the female leader part, okay? So, but Pakistan, they're going to be assassinated, so it's not going to, yeah. Okay, India is going to be the big one. In 1966, we have Indira Gandhi is going to take power. Okay, but eventually she will also be assassinated. People don't like women in power, especially in Asia, which is pretty shocking that they rose to power as quickly as they did. Yes, with all this new voting for the first time, they're going to go with them. All right, guys. I'm okay on that. We're good. Let's do some boards, because that would make Hayden happy. Wouldn't it, Hayden?
Yes.
Are we feeling okay? Or are we just weighed down? How much time do I have?
4 minutes.
Guys, just crushed it over here. Hayden,
What?
on your whiteboard, please tell me what is the document that will create Israel? That will inspire the creation of Israel. By the way, we've talked about this 1,000 times. Taylor, the Balfour Declaration creates what movement? Good. What we got, Scott? Zionist movement. What African country discovers oil? And this former British territory is going to be thrown into chaos. Izzy? Nigeria. On your whiteboard, please tell me what country is going to ask for independence. And everyone's like, of course, of course. What else can we do for you? They're the best. They're the best. James, who is it? Canada. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the dude who is going to liberate the Suez Canal from its British imperialists? Good. What do we got, Micah? Nasser. Nasser is going to start what movement, which will unify eventually 22 nations? Good. We got Henry. Pan-Arabism. The Suez Canal is now controlled and maintained by what international agency? What is it, Scott? But the money goes to Cassidy? Egypt, which is why their economy has really done well, and which is why they've become more of a stable nation. How are we feeling? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm so proud of myself. I really streamlined some stuff there for you.
You got through it all?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of skimmed over Tanzania, but like Tanzania, like it's kind of chaos. Huh?
Isn't that so? I want to make it sound so. Oh.
How did I do in comparison to Himmler?
Yours covered, I feel like, more important details than he did. He really streamlined it. Like, I'm talking like streamlined to the max, where if I wasn't in class, I probably would have done that.
Do you think it's so much more interesting learning from the states of the AP government? And it's just really boring.
Let's just say
that's
Heinrich
nice.
covers an entire game in 5 minutes. And you can't really cover an entire show.
I'm sorry.
No, I know. You're fine. Did you put your stuff over there, my love? No, I got it. I'm gonna write it down right here.
Miss Bennett, how are we gonna do next week if we're not gonna be here Friday?
I'm lecturing on Thursday and Tuesday.
We're not gonna put it.
Just leave it right there. I'll deal with it.